this season's Canucks are like the unhealthiest person living to be 100. Because the shit that they've been through this season is just like, I would imagine if you're a Canucks fan, it has felt like multiple seasons this year.
Let's discuss teams this season that have just been bonkersville in some way, shape, or form. There's a good way to do it. We do the derogatory and endearing thing on here. And just which teams have, whether it's beginning to end, whether it's something crazy that happened in the middle of the season, cough, cough, Colorado. Who have those teams been? I said at the beginning of the show, I think that this is really a 2-team list if it has to be. And those 2 teams would be the Washington Capitals, of course, and the Colorado Avalanche. We'll get into them a little deeper, but who do you feel belongs on there?
I mean, definitely those 2 teams, but I would also throw in the Bruins and Canucks as 2 teams that absolutely belong in that conversation as well. Like, the Bruins didn't necessarily win the offseason, but they spent big this offseason, and both those guys have been pretty terrible. You fire your coach, who had an unbelievable record for his previous 2 seasons, a month and a half in. Then you trade basically all your good players, including your captain, at midseason and become a lottery team.
And I mean, if you're going to make that case, then the Predators absolutely belong on the list as well, because the Predators won the offseason to me. Or actually, no, I was saying the whole way that the Capitals won the offseason, but the Predators made
you were saying that the Oilers won the offseason. July 1, you were like, Oilers won the offseason.
Yeah, and then the rest of the offseason happened. There's no way you're going to act like I wasn't all over and like I hated the offer sheet thing. No way you can spin that. I was absolutely Capitals.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not going to say that you were like you were ahead of the curve on the Capitals, sort of. You were saying that it was interesting, could finish in any spot in the division. But you
only
were
person in the world who said they could win the division.
That is true. You were like the only person that was like they could.
I don't know why you're
first.
trying to take this from me, but yeah,
I'm not. But
Capitals,
I'm just
was in on them. Sean?
Oh, I was going to say I feel like we have different definitions of what a crazy season means, because I don't feel like the Predators or Caps have had crazy seasons at all. They've been consistently the best team or worst team in hockey all year long.
So but in those particular cases, it's wild that either one was so bad and so good all season long.
I get that they wildly I don't want to not missed expectations, because obviously like Caps exceeded them, but like I would say as far as like the actual 82 games has gone and everything that happens in between, like the Capitals have been like pretty boring. They just keep winning hockey games. I mean, obviously you have the Ovi thing,
right?
Outside
That's
of
part
that,
of it.
I would agree that it is based on what your interpretation is, because if you make it about how did this happen and can you believe this happened, the Capitals are number 1.
Mm-hmm.
If you make it about high event season, Avalanche are number 1,
Mm-hmm.
because the Avalanche started off famously underwhelming. Their goaltending was horrible, so they gutted their goaltending, figured it out, got 2 guys with wood in their name, and traded a top 10 player in the league, and now are riding high. I still remain so high on Mikko Rantanen.
I think top 10 is very generous.
I mean, I'll say a top 3 winger in the league.
Okay, fair.
Top 2 winger in the league even.
Not that high on Rantanen, but it was crazy, and it came out of nowhere. And like they changed their roster more than any team in the entire NHL this season, and they've been awesome. Who else? I mean, the Blue Jackets are in that discussion as well, based off of everything that's happened with them, with Johnny Gaudreau, and then them actually being a competitive team and some of the ups and downs that they've had and the swings that they've had this season. But yeah, I mean, like there is kind of two classifications of kind of a crazy season, where it's high event during the season and just like a wild result on the bigger picture.
You mentioned the Canucks. I mean, we got so much mileage out of Elias Pettersson and JT Miller. That was a day, if not daily, that was a multiple times a week, had to weigh in or had to take the temperature of what was going on in Vancouver. This was a team that last year was really establishing themselves as the team that was taking that step forward. Quinn Hughes was clearly becoming a top player in the league. There was no reason to think that they would be worse this year. I actually did, while we were like pulling receipts, I did think they might take a small step back, but I thought that they were going to be right around there. And the fact that they have had to kind of really use every ounce of their energy to be a bubble team while moving parts out is like nobody could have seen that coming.
Yeah, it is surprising, but it's also surprising that there's a bubble team right now based off of everything that's happened to them.
Yeah, that's impressive to me.
Yeah, right. And the way that I described it earlier this week is like this season's Canucks are like the unhealthiest person you know living to be 100. Because the shit that they've been through this season is just like, I would imagine if you're a Canucks fan, it has felt like multiple seasons this year. Just having to live through that shit, especially with the Pettersson Miller drama, which like that felt like that was dragging out for half a season.
Yeah. And I mean, eventually, even when they made those moves, you saw all the players on the Canucks, or a bunch of them, posting heartfelt things about JT Miller. And you were like, oh man, there is going to be unrest with this team. But they somehow, despite also a Quinn Hughes injury on top of it and all the Thatcher Demko stuff, have just been there. And if they get in, said this before, if they get in and they play the Jets in round 1, I am not making that a guaranteed open and shut ironclad Jets win. I could see the Canucks at the very least giving them a series. They could also be one of those teams, this happens all the time, where they're Jekyll and Hyde throughout the season and it never seems to click. And then they have 2 good games in a row in the postseason and suddenly they're feeling themselves for the first time. I don't think they're going to be world beaters. I don't think they're going to win the cup, but I think it would not shock me if they ended up being somewhat disruptive in the first round.
Yeah, I wouldn't write them off either. And I mean, if you want to put a little cherry on top for like the Canucks craziness, they also stood in the way of Quinn Hughes playing in the Four Nations final.
I was going to say Team USA might have had the craziest season out of everybody, and they played 5 games.
Wondering if we work in Four Nations teams. You, Sean, had the Red Wings on the list.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in terms of in-season, I mean, I feel like it's a combination of like in-season and the preseason combinations, because as we've mentioned, they're one of those 3 teams with the Sabres and the Senators that are always, for like the last 5-6 years or whatever, have been like, is this the year? Is this the year? And then they started being dog shit, fire their coach, and then ended up being like the best team in hockey for a little bit, completely turned around their power play. Like in terms of, and then they had another dog shit streak later in the season. Like in terms of like the ups and downs of a hockey season, I feel like the Red Wings are up there.
This team doesn't get any credit, but I just think that they're a darling of the season is the Senators. Like they're kind of like the Red Wings going being like, is this going to be the year? Linus Ullmark looks good. Then Linus Ullmark gets hurt. And you're like, well, that should be that. And you're like, oh, well, Brady Tkachuk is going to save all his energy for Four Nations because he hates his team and he just wants to be happy with America. And then we see him on Team USA. We're like, damn, he's so much happier. And nope, Senators rock. Senators are going to be a playoff team. Linus Ullmark is healthy and really good. East is wide open. Does that qualify as having a crazy season, or do we just give them a pat on the back and say, all right, you finally arrived? And also, you can't discount what they did with Dylan Cousins because he has come there and been a godsend.
Yeah, I don't think that's like too pedestrian.
Yeah,
for this conversation, but yeah, like they do deserve a pat on the back. I think you just pat them on the back for saying, finally, you have delivered on the promise of being in the conversation at the end of a season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that number one just has to be the Avalanche. If you do recent comparisons, like years past, obviously Edmonton was the craziest team last year. It's not the same exact type of vibe, but like have to shake up the goaltending, send guys out, bring guys in. Expectations were high, and when all is said and done, you're like, that's a really good team, and I could see them potentially winning the cup. Like Avalanche to me, wildest season, craziest season. Even if they didn't end up being good at the end of the day, just the goaltending shakeup and Mikko Rantanen alone, and now until you had Kelly Sutherland jumping on pucks and throwing games against them, they were red hot.
Well, you're also talking about a team that could have the Hart winner on it, and you're talking about a team that could get Gabe Landeskog back finally at the end of the season. Like that could be.
Factor in the Landeskog shit. Yeah,
I saw the Netters boys theorizing that Landeskog is going to come back on like the day the final episode of his documentary series airs, where it's going to be like the documentary series airs and then he announces that he's back.
That's terrible behavior.
I just feel like
you can't be playing games with, like if you're healthy to come back, play hockey.
Yeah,
don't like
LTIR.
wait. I mean, yeah, if you're waiting for waiting for that reason, that's different. I also feel like as far as the Rantanen thing, the other side of it, like the Carolina Hurricanes, they had the whole Natchez thing leading into it. Then they acquired Rantanen, got rid of Rantanen. They have craziness in net, put it that way.
Yeah. But I still don't think that's enough. Like the Rantanen thing is insane.
They were the one team that was involved in both ends of the Rantanen thing.
Yeah, but it's also just like that one singular, or I guess two trades, not enough to, I think, top the craziness of the Avs.
I think that's fair. I didn't think they were mentioned at all in this conversation.
We all silly like the mayor.